Well, what's happening? We are back here for episode 4 of Kitchen Talk. I think it's episode 4 anyway. Um, Apologies about last week. There was some technical difficulties. Again, I'm not good at this computer stuff, to be honest with you. I think if you were listening with headphones on, it only came out of the left ear, so that's not really ideal. Hopefully it's sorted this week. I've done a few checks. I probably should have done that before last week. I believe we're now recording in mono instead of stereo, so that should be the issues of that sorted out. And I think as well, I don't know if it was just Spotify or what, but I know it was both potentially. If you were watching me, like the video of it, I would freeze, but still be speaking, and then it would catch up again like a fucking dodgy fire stick. So I don't know why that's happening. I worked out why the sound thing was happening, but I could not tell you why the video was happening. So if anyone knows again, we'll get these issues ironed out eventually. But yes, hopefully this week I'm not going to be stuck frozen for 5 minutes. But it does. I've found out if you do watch it long enough, it does catch up. So just be patient. You know, you don't really need to see me right now. You don't really need to see me at all, to be honest. This is just, I don't know why. It's probably better to visually see me in the kitchen. It wouldn't make much sense to have this podcast called Kitchen Talk, and then you not know that I was in a kitchen. You know, who's to say I'm not recording it in my bedroom or the fucking back garden? So that's probably why we have it on video. Don't know why I'm talking so much shite already. We'll just get into the podcast here, will we? I think this week what I'll do is I'll run you through my week because I've had a pretty exciting week. What have I done? Good start already. After I recorded the podcast last week, I went out for a few beverages and a nice Indian, and so I was pretty much in the horrors all week, and then I had to go down to Dublin for a gig down in the Comedy Cellar, which is the longest running comedy night in Ireland, I found out. I was doing a quick 5-minute spot there in the International Bar. I say 5-minute spot, it felt like 5 hours because don't think it went too well. Well, it wasn't bad, but you know, as I say, the bar was called the International Bar. You'd think that would have given me an indication that the bar was full of international people, and you know, I know the majority, probably all of my audience, are from Belfast and maybe like Derry at the most. Fuck knows. But so everyone has a nice time understanding me. People in the International Bar, I think, didn't really have a great time understanding me. There was an American guy there. There was 3 people who were there. One was from Venezuela, one was from Canada, and the other one was from Puerto Rico. Let's be honest here, you know, they're not going to understand what I'm talking about. Even if they do understand me, they're probably not going to get the jokes either. So, and that's probably on me. But it was still a good crack. It was a good experience. I had it all planned out in my head. I took a half day on work. I was going to go down to try Bambino Pizza. It's like a fucking viral pizza place down in Dublin, all over TikTok and everything. But I went to go try there. Unfortunately, the train got in very late. It was meant to get in for 7. Got me in at 7:20, and the gig was at 8. So, and I've heard that the queues in this Bambino are pretty hectic. So I just didn't bother. Well, I didn't go at the start, and then when I got to the International Bar, I'll be honest, I rang my man and was like, I don't want to do this, I'm just going to go home. Unfortunately, there was no buses home. There was no buses, so I had the bus booked for 10:20, and I need to move this closer to me, sorry. I had the bus booked for 10:20, and I was looking at the trains. This was like sort of like 10 to 8, and I was looking at the trains. Trains were all sold out. The next bus wasn't until the one that I had booked, which was the 10:10 ones, and I was like, what would I do in Dublin if I'm not going to do this gig, apart from get a fucking slice of pizza? So I ended up doing the gig. It was probably the warmest room I've ever been in my life, and I've been in some pretty fucking warm rooms. Very, very small. I don't know how to, I'll try to describe it. It's very small. And the stage is like maybe, I don't know, I'd guess like a foot high, maybe just under a foot. And like the audience are right up against it. And one of my jokes was about gay men on Tinder pretending to be women. I'm not going to tell you the punchline because then I couldn't do the joke again. But there was 2 gay men in the front row, and I was like, is this joke a bit offside? Did it anyway, and I did enjoy it, so that wasn't that bad. But I'm getting fucking sidetracked here. The whole audience was like right up against the stage, and it's like real cramped environment. like people were sitting. They're not like stools, like a bar stool. But they are stools, and they look like buffets. If that makes sense, like just wee cylindrical sitting sort of devices. I don't know, but it wasn't. Don't think it was my best work. Certainly not. But as I say, good experience. Went to go to Bombino after because the gig I was over at like 9:30, and the train or the bus was 10:20. So I thought maybe then I'll try to go to Bombino. So I walked around. It was only around the corner. Am I telling this story like a fucking pensioner? I'm telling you unnecessary details here. Regardless, I went to go to Bombino. The line was like up the fucking street, so there was like no chance. There was another pizza place, but it was like closing, so I ended up just getting a Five Guys. And then I was like, right, the bus is like 20 minutes away. I don't know what the taxis are like down here, so I'll just get a taxi as soon as I get the Five Guys and eat it on the bus. I really underestimated how good Dublin taxi services are, and so I was there at like 10 o'clock at the bus stop. And it's not like a bus station or anything. It was just like a fucking street in the middle of Dublin by the river. And I stood at like this ledge just eating the Five Guys. And it's like, do you ever get when you can't enjoy something because everything else is like stressing you out? Because I didn't know to begin with if I was even in the right place for the bus. Because it was literally just a street by the river and there was junkies. Oh, it just wasn't nice. I was freaking out, to be honest, so I couldn't enjoy my Five Guys burger. And I also, when I opened the bag up, I got just normal chips. I freaked out in the shop and didn't get the Cajun chips. So all round it wasn't, and I had it in my head the whole day I was going to get this really nice Bombino pizza, and I ended up getting a fucking shite Five Guys that I didn't really want. Still had it anyway, you know, who am I to say no? But that was Dublin. What else happened in Dublin? Dublin's a pretty cool city. So I've never, say for it being 2 hours down the road, I've been like once for a night out, and then a couple of times for like Marley Park and gigs and stuff like that, and then the airport obviously, but never actually went out into the city centre in Dublin. And I have to tell you, for a Wednesday night, it was pretty fucking hiving. I don't know if that's because the weather was nice, but it was giving me strong like London stroke Manchester sort of feeling to it. Everyone just standing outside bars, you know, just standing talking in the middle of the street, which, you know, could be considered woke nonsense. But it looked nice anyway, you know. Outside the international bar, there's like an upstairs to it, on the ground floor obviously, and then the downstairs in the basement, and I was in the upstairs part, and I was like a bit nervous when I was walking. Well, I got the Uber from the train station around there, and I must have looked pretty nervous, and I was just standing outside, and these two Brazilian guys came up to me, and they're like, "Hey man, you want to come downstairs to don't know what that accent is, sorry. You want to come downstairs? We got Brazilian music all night long in the basement." And I was like, "Sorry, mate, I'm here for the comedy." And they just sort of, and they're like, "Oh, nice, nice." And I'm like, I am so introverted, it's not even funny. Because anyone else would be like, "Oh yeah, sounds cool. I'll go down and listen to some Brazilian music." Obviously, I couldn't because I had prior engagements. Don't know if that's the right word. So I just thought it was quite cool that they're doing a Brazilian music night, bit of samba dancing, bit of fucking. But then when you see videos of Brazilian music on TikTok nowadays, it's all like boom chak chak boom chak boom chak, and it's like some fucking MC in the microphone going, "Oh hello hello hello," and there's like football edits over it. So I don't know what sort of music it was going on down there, whether they were twerking, whether they were salsa dancing. These two guys were wearing like fucking leather jackets and trilbies. They looked like they were from this, like literally time travelled from the 1970s. So I don't think there would have been people twerking in it. But that's that. And that was my Dublin trip. And then on Thursday night, I had a gig at No Joke in Ulster Sports Club, which is my favourite place to do a gig because I've never had a bad one in it. And that record's still going, 3 for 3, fucking right. But yeah, it was good crack. Obviously, when you have a gig like that, it's quite. I wouldn't say it puts you down, but it makes you think like, is there any point in doing this? But so I went in the No Joke and only had 1 pint, and it was a bloody good time. So it was. Yeah, really enjoyed it. What else to do? And I fuck knows why. For some reason this week I felt like a real independent individual, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to do things by myself this week. So I bought a ticket to the Queen's Film Theatre, the QFT, which is like a cinema down beside Queen's, funny enough, for like the film geeks and film students, and they show, you know, cult classics, I would say. And there was a show, and there was like some film festival week across the UK called like Visions of Europe. And I know I sound like a cunt talking about this because it is a cunt thing to be interested in. But they were showing this film called La Haine. It's a 1995 French crime thriller. It's all in black and white. It follows the story of three young men. I've seen it once, and I thought I would go. I knew no one would want to go with me to go see it, so I bought a ticket. It was meant to be showing last night at like 8 o'clock or something, and I had full intention of going. And then it got to 8 o'clock, and I was like, "Who am I trying to fool here? I'm not going to the cinema by myself to watch some fucking French film. What if someone sees me?" And I know like things like that attract like a certain look of people, like people who look a certain way. I don't look like someone who's into films, you know what I mean? I look like I'm into wanking and Pepsi Max. Yo, call back from another episode. But I just didn't end up playing PlayStation instead, which I'm pretty disappointed in myself because I did want to go see it. Although I didn't want to look like like one of those guys like all mysterious, like he's in the cinema by himself. He's so fucking cool. Because I wouldn't have looked like that. It would have been like, who is this fucking weirdo in the cinema by himself? Who is this guy? Why has he got his dick in the Malteser's bag? So it put me off going. But La Haine's a good film. It's a great film. I've only watched it once, as I say, but it would have been good to see it in Le Ciné. In Le Ciné. Bit of a cinephile, so I am. So that was that. Last week, this is just a complete segue, no correlation. Last week, I asked you, the viewers, to name me, the host, names for this fucking AI sex robot that I've come up with. I haven't come up with it. It's probably out there somewhere else. I'd like to thank all two people who actually give me a response. Thanks. I don't know whether you're shy or whether you just aren't creative, or whether no one made it to that point in the podcast, because it was at the end, but I only received 2 answers. And I'll tell you what, they were fucking good answers, so big shout out to Callum and Alana for their answers. Callum sent in artificial intelligence, which I thought was really good because that's the target audience we're really going for here, incels. Good play on words. And then Alana, she submitted chat GHB, and that's GHB for get her bucked, not the party drug that people use. So I thought they were really good options. I have no creative juices in my body, so I came up with gay I, and that's for our partner AI sex robot, for gay people. Well, I don't know why we would need to have a separate one, but you can maybe turn on gay I mode, and that would be, instead of AI, gay I, just in case anyone was struggling to understand that. So yeah, we'll keep it going. If anyone else has any fucking suggestions for it, we'll keep it running. It doesn't need to be a one and done thing. I'll give you another chance. This time it's at the start of the podcast, so no excuses for not making it to this part. And we also, don't know, for those of you who are keen, I have a tin here on the table. You can't feel it, but I can. It's slightly, I wouldn't say it's cold. It's been sitting in the back hall. I'll give you a bit of context to why this is here. This is just to get the minutes up, by the way. I was on buying boxers off Sports Direct, and at the end of the purchasing process, I would say. Also, just a quick side note, I don't know what the P's and B's sounds like, the plosives. Whenever I checked it, it was very fucking in the microphone, so hopefully it's not now, but if it is, I'm sorry for that alliteration. Back on track. So I was buying boxers on Sports Direct, and at the end of the purchasing process, it comes up saying, claim your free case of beer from Beer 52. And I says, well, that's a fucking brilliant deal, I'll do that. And I knew Beer 52 was like a beer subscription service where you get beers from all around the world. And the reason, to be honest with you, is I thought, because when I was in Berlin, I had this beer called Carlsberg Elephant, and it was like 8%, and got you fucking blocked. I thought it was going to be beers like that. So that's why I went for the only thing you had to pay for was the postage. So I paid £6 for the postage for a case of 8 beers. I thought it was a bloody good deal. Now, you do have to start the subscription, but the first case is free, just pay the postage. Say postage again there, fucking hell. So I did that. The beers came. You get fucking 8 beers, 2 magazines, and like 2 snacks, which is pretty good for £6. But unfortunately, it's IPAs, so it's all these fucking wacky beers. I rang them up to cancel, because you have to cancel the subscription, obviously. And the guy on the phone says, well, why don't we give you the next box for £10? And I was like, is that with delivery as well? And he said, yeah, it is. So, alas, 8 more beers arrived, 2 more snacks, 2 more magazines. I'm like a fucking library here of craft beer magazines. You wouldn't believe how much literary shit there is on craft beers. If there's anything gayer than someone who drinks craft beers, it's someone who fucking writes about drinking craft beers. I can literally see one sitting in my kitchen. I don't know why me and my ma have them up for decoration. There's one called Ferment magazine, which is just disgusting. If I didn't tell you that was a craft beer magazine, you would think that's a porn mag. Do you know what I mean? Ferment. It's just some girl with a big fucking bush on the front cover. Oh. And then there's a wee like book there called The Story of Craft Beer. Obviously not going to read either of them. I'm not a loser. But what I am going to... Oh, sorry, again, I haven't finished the escapade with fucking Beer 52. And so I got the other 8 beers. I got the snacks and the magazines and everything. And then I've just forgot to cancel it. So £25 left my bank the other day. And that one didn't feel so good because £25 for 8 beers, 2 magazines and 2 snacks isn't quite the same fucking deal that I was getting originally. So now I drank 3 of them one Sunday, and I didn't actually mind them. Don't ask me what they're called, can't remember. And I now have 21. I think that's right. 8, 16, 24 minus 3. No, yeah, it is. Jesus wept. 21 IPAs. So to get rid of them, I think a segment is going to be for the next 21 episodes. I'm going to drink a craft beer and I'm going to review it for you. Now, what way I'm going to do it is I'm going to review the tin, the name of it, the description of it, because they always have fucking wild descriptions, and how it actually tastes. Don't know if I said that. What did I say? The tin, how it looks, how it tastes, the description. We'll go name as well. Did I say name? Fuck, I can't even remember. We'll get into it and I'll review it as I go along. We'll work it out. This one we've got here today. This is from the Scandinavia bundle. I don't know if you can see it. I'll lift it up to the camera a wee bit closer. This is from the most recent package. They've been sitting in my back hall, by the way, and my ma tells me I need to get rid of them. So this is our way of getting rid of them in 21 weeks. This one was from the most recent Scandinavia package. I don't know where the other 2 were from. Slick Rick. It's a black tin with a bearded gentleman with abs and muscles, and he's got a hat on, and it's from Forever Young Brewery, I think it is, and it's a 5.2% white IPA. What I would say is I really like the design. However, you won't be able to tell, but if I can just show you now, it's I don't know. Obviously these are like wee independent breweries, so I'm not too critical on this, but it's not working. This isn't the actual tin itself. This isn't printed onto the tin. This is a sticker over the tin, and I'm going to have to mark it down on that because I don't like that. I'd much rather you fucking press the shit into the tin somehow. I don't know what way it works. Let's see the description here. Yeah. Wait till you hear this. A sly young god who causes jitters with a sultry look and causes your heart to race. Slick Rick brings out the irresistible charmer in you. This free-spirited Adonis is your party starter and your colourful shadow on the dance floor who makes you jive and boogie. The secret to eternal youth is on the inside, so make the most out of it. Growing old can wait. And then down there's Slick Rick with a wee speech bubble saying growing old can wait. What's involved? Water, malted barley, hops, yeast. And that's just it. Brewed and canned in... Ooh... Not a chance I can say that. I think this is potentially... No, it's not Scandinavia. This is Holland. This is fucking Dutch beers. That makes sense why there's a muscly man on it who's talking about jiving and boogieing, calling him an Adonis, making your heart race. So we'll just get tucked into it. I think we'll give it a score. I'm going to give the tin a 6.5, and it would be higher. I do like a black tin. That's why it's getting a 6.5. No, sorry, 7.5. It would be an 8, maybe even an 8.5 if it wasn't for this fucking sticker on it. I think it's a funny looking tin. I like a black tin. I like the yellow. It just really pops. Slick Rick, 10 out of 10. Fucking funniest name you could ever imagine. The description, 10 out of 10. And I think the last thing then would be to just see how it tastes. We'll try a bit of ASMR. Will I try to, we'll just try it. Don't know how that sounded. It might have absolutely fucked your eardrums. We'll give it a wee sniff. It smells quite fruity. We'll just we'll get as I say, they're in the back hall, so they're not actually too cold. I don't know if you're meant to drink IPAs warm or cold or not. My dad's big into them, so if you can give me some advice on what to do with these beers and let me know. So let's get tucked into it. Slick Rick Forever Young 5.3% white IPA. It just tastes like every other IPA. Shock. I don't actually know how to review beers. It's alright. I've just brushed my teeth, and I don't know if that's a fair test on it. I will drink it all. Probably not going to drink it all on podcast because it'll be like disgusting ASMR, and I'll have to burp, and I don't really want to be burping on the microphone. I'll give it another wee taste anyway. Yeah, it is a bit fruity. I think colder it would actually be alright because it is lukewarm. It's also 12:30 on a Saturday here. Not ideal time to be drinking in your house, drinking IPAs. My main worry with this segment on the podcast is I get Asian flush, and that's not racist. And that's where your face goes really warm when you have your first sip of alcohol on the night. And I don't know why. It doesn't happen all the time, but it happens sometimes. And I don't want that to be happening because it is like the worst thing that can happen to you. You just need to put your face under cold water for like 20 minutes to get rid of it. And I know I have friends who have the same thing. It's fucking hectic. If anyone knows why it happens, let me know. Oh my! See what I said about the burps? I'll try to edit that out. If I can't work it out how to do it, fuck it, just enjoy it. So we'll not be drinking the rest of that for the rest of the podcast. Now to get into the good stuff, I've realised I'm 22 minutes in, and I have just really done none of my usual topics, which is probably a good thing. We'll stretch this bad boy out as much as we can. What I've been seeing a lot of online recently is discourse on Mount Everest, and I keep seeing like TikToks or like Instagram videos of people climbing Mount Everest, and people in the comments are like horrified. They're like, "Are we still climbing Mount Everest? Are we still climbing it?" And the main reason for that is because of the Sherpa people. Fun fact, by the way, so the Sherpas are people who are indigenous to the fucking mountainous region. I've got it written down here. I'll just tell you what they are. I thought they were just people that just you call someone a Sherpa who guides up a mountain, but they're actually a Tibetan ethnic group that live in the mountains, and so they're specific for that sort of region. I thought like if you climbed Kilimanjaro, you would go up with a Sherpa, but it's not that. I probably should have checked if it was someone else, but there's a fun fact. So people are like, oh, because it's something like a third of the people who have died on Mount Everest are all Sherpas. And that's because people pay 40 grand to come and climb Mount Everest, and the Sherpas do a lot of the grunt work. Their main sort of purpose is to like plan the route, so they'll go up and like fucking fix ropes and ladders and shit. They'll carry all like your oxygen bottles, your tents. What else do they do? They do rescue operations as well. So they're because they're up from that, they're up. Get holy fuck speak. They're from up that neck of the woods, so they know the terrain. They know how to work the altitude and things like that. So that's why. But the thing is, people pay £40,000 to do it. But the Sherpas, well, this is the thing, right? I'll come into this. I know I'm giving a bit of an informational talk right now, but this is the problem I have with it, because people are like, oh, what about the Sherpas? The Sherpas keep dying on the mountain. See, if you lived in the fucking Tibetan mountains, what else are you going to do for fucking work? There's no McDonald's, there's no civil service, I imagine. They're pretty fucking, where is it, Nepal? Somewhere, Yemen, probably. What else are they going to do for work? Do you know how much these cunts get paid for per summit? $6,000. And that's per summit. It doesn't take you, I don't know how long it takes you to do Mount Everest, I'll be honest. And I don't know how many times they can do it in 1 year. $6,000 fucking dollars is nothing. I'd climb it. If someone says to me, go up that mountain there for $6,000, I'd no sweat. I'll do it fucking when? Tomorrow? No problem. People are like, oh no, the Sherpas. And I think it's what have I written down here? It's like an infantilization, good word, of foreign people. And this is like a thing that really left-wing people have. Don't get me wrong, I'm pretty left-wing myself, but if you go further left, when you're getting woke territory, it's like infantilization of foreign people. Specifically in this instance, it would be the Sherpas. and by that I mean people look at these indigenous like communities in these areas, and they like view them as like children almost. Like that's what infantilization is. And say, oh well, no, you shouldn't do that because then you're putting their lives at risk. If they don't want to do it, they wouldn't fucking do it. Do you know what I mean? It's not like anyone's got a gun to their head saying, climb this, take this fucking middle class white person up Mount Everest, or I'm going to shoot you and your 47 cousins. It's not like they're getting paid $6,000. Do you know how much $6,000 is worth in fucking Nepal? A lot, I'm going to assume. I don't know the economics. I don't know their GDP per capita. But I know it's fucking a lot of money. And, you know, so I don't think it's very fair to be like, oh, you shouldn't do it because of the Sherpas. Oh, think of the Sherpas. Funny name to be calling people as well. To be Sherpas. Because in your mind as well, when you think of Sherpa, you don't think of a big tall guy. You think of like a wee like sort of semi-Asian sort of looking guy who's like, you know, he's like wee, almost like a Eskimo. He's got a wee coat on with a wee fucking furry hood. You don't think, you know, so it is in fact, and I know that's what everyone thinks. If you, I said the word Sherpa to you, you don't think of big, strong, muscly men, you know, climbing mountains with their tops off. That's not the way it works. So, and listen, is it really that big of a deal? Do you know how many people realistically are climbing Everest? Most people know probably not a safe thing to do. Who also has the fucking money for it? Now, if it's a case of you don't like it because you don't like people climbing Everest because the people who are doing it are usually incredibly wealthy, and that's exploitation of working class people, I'd maybe hear your argument out. But at the same time, they choose to provide that service. They're not fucking slaves. No one's forcing them to do it. And I think if you think that way, then that's what the infantilization comes from you thinking that these wealthy people are just throwing money at these poor stupid fuckers to get them to climb mountains with them, and it's not right. It's not right. Have you spoke to the Sherpas? There's probably Sherpas, yeah, fair enough, who don't want to do it, and they sort of have no other choice. It's like people who, I was gonna say, it's kind of like people who work in like coke farms, like cocaine farms, in Colombia and other South American countries. They have sort of no other choice. But then that's different because they're getting, you know, that's the government's, well, I suppose it's the government's fault in Nepal as well, but, you know, they're getting looked after by drug lords and things. That's a completely different sort of conversation, I would say. It wouldn't really be one for comparison, but, you know, as I said, like, what else? Like, they're literally mountain people. That is what they're fucking known for. The Sherpas, they live in the mountains. They can do that shit. So what's the problem? If they want to go charge people to climb the mountain, you know, why not just let them? And who better to do it than the cunts who live there at the end of the day? I don't want the fucking Portuguese guy tell me how to climb Mount Everest. Give me the guy who has to go there to get his bread and butter. Give me the guy who's fucking corner shops at base camp. Do you know what I mean? I will admit I don't know too much about Everest, so this is all just what I've picked up on this week. I've been seeing loads of videos of people climbing Everest, and the comments have all been like just fucking. What about are we? It's like the McDonald's genocide thing. I keep seeing TikToks of people getting to McDonald's because obviously the Minecraft film's out, big news, and McDonald's have a promo with them where they're doing like the Minecraft meal, and you can get the Minecraft sauce and wee toys and everything. And people are like reviewing it or whatever on TikTok, just a load of fucking shite anyway. You know, it's nothing serious. And people will comment and be like, "Oh, during the genocide or during the boycott." And I feel like I should be here to educate. This might be a bit of a hot topic for a comedy podcast, I'll admit. The reason why people think you should boycott McDonald's is because McDonald's fund Israel is the belief, which isn't the case. And I'll put it out there. That's not what happened. What happened was there was like so many McDonald's stores in India, or not India, I'd say there's a few there as well, in Israel, and they were giving out meals to the IDF, the Israeli forces, for free. And so people were like, oh, fucking boycott McDonald's. And then so McDonald's were like, we can't have you do well, I'll rewind a wee bit. If you know how McDonald's works, McDonald's is a fucking franchise. McDonald's don't own their stores. It's franchisees own the stores. So whatever those franchisees do, it's up to them. So it's not McDonald's saying it's not Ronald McDonald himself going, yeah, let's bomb fucking children here. It's not how it works. It's not the Grimace or the Hamburglar going, yep, you know what, let's fucking shoot a few children in a hospital or something. That's not the way it works. It's got franchisees who own the McDonald's. They choose what happens. with the shit that goes on in the McDonald's. They run it. McDonald's just supply them. And so what happened was this. I don't know how many stores it was in Israel were giving out free meals to the IDF. People picked up on this. McDonald's then bought every single McDonald's store in Israel. I think it's like 260 or something. Bought every single store back off them and don't do it. So McDonald's own those ones. Yes, I know I've contradicted myself there slightly, but that's what it is. McDonald's don't fund Israel. Fucking think for 2 seconds. What the fuck? What would McDonald's benefit from giving money to a country? Just use fucking logic, please. It is brain dead. I don't know about Starbucks and all. Fuck knows. I don't drink coffee, so I don't care about it. I only care about McDonald's because I don't want some fucking blue-haired communist telling me I can't eat a fucking chicken mayo in peace. Alright? If I want to eat a double fucking cheeseburger, I don't want to fucking hear in my ear about fucking Arabs getting killed. Alright. Woo, we've turned that round. Yeah, sorry about that. That's just a bit of a rant. And a bit of information if you don't already know. Get a bit of slick Rick here to keep me jiving and boogieing. I'll before I alienate any other fans of the podcast, there was a funny news story came out of Ireland this week. So there's pensioners getting scammed by who they believe is Daniel O'Donnell, the country music singer. Someone's impersonating him and messaging all these pensioners on Facebook or whatever fucking thing it is, and scamming them, being like, it's Daniel O'Donnell here, I need €500 for fucking, I don't know, throat surgery so I can keep singing. And obviously they're all falling for it, and it's the funniest thing ever, because only that, it's like that is such a great scam, because it's guaranteed to work every time. Because if you've ever seen any Irish pensioners' sort of reaction to Daniel O'Donnell, you'll know, fine rightly, all common sense goes out the window. They treat him like some sort of god. If you don't know who Daniel O'Donnell is, he's a country music singer from like Donegal or something. I don't know why they all love him so much. His music's fucking shite. But I don't know if he's like a good looking. He might have been good looking back in his day, and that's where they all swan over him. But he just looks like a wee granda. He just looks like a normal Irish granda. But they all fucking love him for some reason. And so these scammers, they've tapped in. It's probably the most well thought out scam ever, because you've got your target audience, pensioners, who are without a doubt the easiest people to scam or fool or get money out of, out of any demographic. You say to your granny comes round to your house and gives you a score just for existing. Do you know what I mean? And that's at the age of like 26. So, think about what they would do for Daniel O'Donnell. And then, so they have their very specific audience, which are the pensioners, which is great thinking. And then they have, I don't know what the term is in the scamming business, but it's like the hook, the bait probably, and it's Daniel O'Donnell. And they're going to drink that up. They're wee fish, and they're going to get right on that hook, and they're going to get reeled into fuck. It is the smartest thing ever. And I was trying to think of, like, what other sort of demographic could you do that to? And then I thought, that's pretty racist, and I can't say that on a podcast, because I'll not go into it. But I just thought it was very smart, but also very funny, because like inherently it is just quite funny to think of, like, your granny, like, obviously they don't know, but it's funny to think of, like, your granny thinks she's getting messaged by Daniel O'Donnell for money, despite never having spoke to him before. Despite also the fact that he obviously wouldn't need the money sent to him because he's pretty wealthy, I'm assuming. I don't know what the music business is like in County Donegal, but I'd say he's not short of a few quid. It's just so funny. And what do they think's going to happen? Is they're going to send Daniel O'Donnell money, he's going to come around and give him a fucking lap dance for €500? What is the thought process behind that? So I thought that was quite funny. And you always see the videos of, like, there's a girl on TikTok who their granny has a Daniel O'Donnell calendar. I think she got a new one for 2025, and every month they turn it over, and all the women in the house, specifically the granny, are all clapping and cheering and everything because they love him so much. And it's like, it is just literally a 50-year-old man. Jamie, pull that shit up. What age is Daniel O'Donnell? Oh, my laptop is so bad. I regret doing this already. We'll just go another day without finding. If anyone knows Daniel O'Donnell's age, let me know, because I can't look it up before my laptop explodes, to be honest. And so there's calendars of this just wee 50-odd-year-old man, that people fantasize over, and they're all dirty wee grannies. So they are all wee hornballs because they're all, I've never seen a women that age act that way over a man, and it's insane. What is this guy has the gilfs locked down. I don't know if he's married. If he's not married, he must be absolutely swimming in granny fanny. Oh, didn't even mean for that to come out that way, but it sounded good. Granny fanny. He must be absolutely fucking swimming in it. He must be up to his eyes in granny fanny. Bush everywhere. Fucking hell. He must be loving it if he's not married. He probably is married, God love him. He's just a wee man from County Donegal. If anyone knows any Daniel O'Donnell songs, let me know. These are in fact karaoke mics, so maybe we could get a bit of karaoke on the go at some stage. This next topic might be my last, who knows. I feel quite strongly about it as well. These like dopamine apps I keep seeing on Instagram, and it's like, reduce your dopamine. You're getting too much dopamine into your brain. If you don't know what dopamine is, it's I feel like I say that a lot when I go to talk about something. Like, if you don't know X, then this is why. Not Y as in Y, but Y as in the letter Y. It's mods talk. Sorry. So sorry if I do that. It might come across quite patronising. Bit of mansplaining for all you stupid bitches out there. So I'm so sorry. I don't think that way. But what was I talking about? Dopamine. Yeah, dopamine's the chemical that releases into your brain whenever you do something you enjoy. So, the main component the main thing that MDMA does, the drug, is it releases fucking loads of dopamine at once, and that's why you feel so good when you take it. But that's why you get a come down, because your brain can't produce. It only has like a finite amount of dopamine it can produce. So it's not a good thing to release it all at once. But you get these apps now that are like, oh, you need to reduce your dopamine, put the phone down, and we'll lock your phone for you for 16 hours a day. We'll reduce your time spent looking on fucking girls dancing on TikTok. And I just think it's a load of fucking bollocks. When did we become so boring as a people? What happened to just having a good time and not thinking about, oh, my dopamine levels, I need to reduce my dopamine levels? I talked about this, I think the postman's here. Yeah, postman is here. And I'm just screaming about dopamine in the kitchen. I'll wait for him to go here before I get kicked into this. Dopamine. This is what I was saying in the podcast last week about, I think we know too much about our bodies now, that it's actually become regressive because people are worried about shit that they don't need to be worried about. And I just think it's ridiculous. Just start doing things you enjoy. Do you know what I mean? And people are just becoming so fucking obsessed with being active and fit and healthy, and like, fair enough, those are all good things to be, but it's getting fucking too far, way too far. Fuck your ice baths and I've wrote this down, by the way. This is like a communist manifesto. Your ice baths, your sea dips, your mouth tape when you sleep, getting up at 4 a.m. and writing down shit in a journal, your sea moss, your bone broth, your fucking Strava, your LinkedIn, your park runs, fuck your 5k, fuck your fucking high rocks, your Bulgarian split squats, PB, your what's this one, your skier bowls. It's just gone too far. Embrace the things that make you feel good. Take drugs, drink beer, wank, watch porn. I don't know, play PlayStation for 10 hours a day. There's nothing wrong with it. Look at girls with big ditties on Instagram. There's nothing wrong with enjoying yourself. You don't need, not everything needs to be fucking regimental, you know what I mean? Just go out and have a bit of fun. I had to delete Twitter the other day. It was really ruining my mind. Oh, mate, what are you doing? How are you letting your phone, just a fucking thing like that, affect you so much? It's just a phone. And albeit, I do get, after when I'm hungover, I do get a bit of anxiety with a phone. I don't like looking at it, but that's usually because I've posted outrageous things on a Snapchat story, things I don't want to ever see. Never mind, in my own things I don't want to see in my own head. Never mind things that I've posted publicly for, hundreds, if not thousands, of people to see. That made me sound like I've got hundreds or thousands of fans. I didn't mean it like that. Before anyone's like, oh, you think you've got loads of fans. I didn't mean it like that. So I understand it in that way where, I don't like looking at my phone when I'm hungover. But at the same time, let's not try to fucking ruin things that are fun. And people are like, oh, mobile phones are the worst things that have happened to society. Are they? Yeah. How the fuck would I get to like Lauren or something if I didn't have my phone? How would you get to like places in the countryside if you didn't have a phone? Emergencies if you didn't have a phone. What if something happened to like your granny or something? Or what would happen if you were out in the country road and your car got crashed or something? Or all these things that phones we rely on so heavily. I just wish I could go back to the 1970s when we didn't have a phone. Do you, mate? Because I tell you what, I love going on Tinder. I like fucking being able to watch naked people have sex whenever I want. I like being able to gamble on my phone morning, noon, or night. I like being able to do fucking shit that's it's too bad for your dopamine. You're getting too much dopamine. Too much of a good time. Never fucking heard of it, mate. I understand I've got pretty worked up about that. A bit of a slick Rick to calm me down. But it's just, people are becoming boring. Just fucking boring bastards. And I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it's because we're getting older and no one cared about that shit when you're like 21 or 22. Because people who did were, fruits. No one liked them. Not fruits as in fucking homosexuals. Just fruits. Just gimps. Just wankers. Ball bags. It's all the same thing. It's not homophobic to say that. I should just preface by saying that. Wouldn't really be a preface if I said it after. Cancel me. Fuck off. Don't. But you know what I mean. People who cared about that shit when you're younger were born. And, people are like, I'm 26, if you don't know. And I'm doing podcasts in my ma's kitchen. So what does that tell you about me? But it's like, people think when you're this age or you're like 26, 27, up until 30 really, and they're like, oh, I need to get the head down, I need to look after myself and all now. Why do you want to do that? I don't want to be healthy when I'm 80, because what the fuck am I going to do at 80 years old? I want to be able to do all the shit I'm doing now for as much as possible without having repercussions. What do I want to be doing that at 80 for? My dick's not going to be able to work. I'm not going to be able to drink. All my mates are probably going to be dead. My wife's probably going to be dead. What are the? I look forward to running in a field with my grandkids. I've never ran in a field with my granda in my life. My granda loved going to the bar, walking my dog, and that was that was the best things ever. And that's the kind of life you want to live. I was talking to a friend earlier on, and I says to him, he sent me an Instagram of the guy Bootlegger, 1974 Bootlegger. He's like the meme guy, the captain. He used to do vlogs going to the Wrexham football matches. You've seen him in memes and all. He's like, well, all right, lads. I'm not going to go into it, but he's a fucking bootlegger. And he's just like this guy. I think he's in his fucking late 40s, maybe or mid 40s. He's a roofer. He just works Monday to Friday and then gets blocked on the weekends. He has a caravan somewhere in Wales. Just lives it up. Just going for nice dinners and all the time. And he does, do you think he's doing fucking high rocks and CrossFit, fucking sea dips and ice baths? No. And he's the happiest person I've ever seen, and that's the kind of life. He's like a role model for me. I don't want fucking Stephen Bartlett or Andy Malone or fucking Tom Smith, all these fucking geeks, or success and health and fitness. Fuck that. I just want to enjoy myself now in my mid to late 20s, maybe into my early 30s. And then anything after that, it's a bonus, realistically. If you think back to, medieval times, people weren't living past, 35? So anything after that's a fucking bonus, when you think about it, really. There's no, what do you enjoy when you're 70 odd years of age, sitting in front of the TV, waiting to die? It's like, well, there's plenty of people who are healthy in their 70s. Yeah, millionaires. And let's be honest, no one's going to be a millionaire. I'm going to put money on this. There's going to be no one who's a millionaire. Very pessimistic of me. There's going to be no millionaires who listen to this podcast. That's the fact. That's statistically probably proven. And so, those are the people. Like Al Pacino was like 78 and he had a fucking kid a while ago there. Like, what do you want to be doing that for? He might not be 78. He might be 70. But it's fucking, regardless, you're going to be 90 when your child's 20. Probably not. You're probably going to be dead or otherwise, unless, they find some fucking adrenochrome bollocks to keep you alive for longer. I just don't think it's worth doing all this boring shit in your 20s when it's the prime of your life, Who's going to look back and be like, oh yeah, whenever I was 26, I ran a half marathon. Woo! That sounds fucking class. Whenever I was 26, I don't know. I'm just not gonna say anything. It's not at that stage of the podcast yet where I can just say about things I've done or things I haven't or my mates have done or anything like that. But you get the point I'm making. I'm waffling on a bit here. Uh, where the fuck did ninja come from? It's a bit of a segue. This is my last topic. You'll see there. I don't know if you can tell, but it's a ninja air fryer, and they're doing fucking everything now. You can get a ninja barbecue. You can get a ninja smoker, which is separate from the barbecue. You can get ninja ice cream makers, slush puppy machines, and this is my question for this week: is what's next for ninja? You know, is it going to be candy floss machines? Is it going to be, I don't know, blowjob machines? Or like fucking, I don't know, something you put your balls into and it tickles them for you? Give me an idea of what you think Ninja's next device is going to be. Ninja Meth Lab, you know, who knows? They are putting everything, they're just putting any sort of like, I don't even know how to describe it, any sort of confectionery or like food device, they're making it and they're putting it into something you can just put in your kitchen. Look at all the size of that, and it's the best invention I've ever seen. If anyone has a Ninja Creamy or anything, let me know. They look pretty cool. The slush puppy machine's the one I want the most though, because there's nothing better when you're down on a hangover than a nice slush puppy, and you can put any liquid you want in it. And I keep thinking how nice a Dr. Pepper slush puppy would be just in your own homemade slush puppy machine. But yeah, my question this week is, what wacky device do you think Ninja will come out with next? And also, if you want to give me more names for the AI sex robot, so we can start getting it in the programming. Apart from that, I don't think I've got anything else to talk about this week. I did go on a bit of a rant there. I did talk an awful lot of shite. I'm going to finish my slick Rick, watch the football, gamble, probably have a wank and get a takeaway later on, because fuck you and your dopamine fucking counters. I'm going to do things that I enjoy, because it's a Saturday afternoon and I implore you to do the same thing. Just fucking go for it, go nuts, go wild, do as much damage to your body as possible, and then fucking think about it the next day, and then do it all over again the next week. That's what life's about. They're just some words of wisdom. There's some words of wisdom from your host of Kitchen Talk podcast, Matthew Dinsmore. Before I go, I think I mentioned it last week. I have a gig coming up in the Dundallas Social Club in East Belfast. We ran one last year. It was good crack. If there's any comedians that would like to do a spot at it, give me a shout. I'll see what I can do. 13th of June. Tickets aren't out yet. Haven't got a line-up yet. But keep posted and I will let you know. And I'll see you next week for episode 5 with a special guest. We have Kieran Franco coming back next week. Sorry, it really did seem like I was going to end it there, but I haven't. But Kieran Franco's coming back after the technical issues the other week, so be good to have him in again. Hopefully we'll get that one working for you. And I'll see you next week. Thanks very much for listening, and goodbye.